Thank you. I'm not sure if any of that means I should be executive chairman of a gold mining company, and I'm here off the bench because Andy Beckwith would normally be speaking at this event, my colleague. He's the technical person, so don't expect me to give you any significant technical answers. The De Grey story really started a couple of years ago. We've gone up 15, 16, 17 times in share price since then, so we've had a reasonably good run. A lot of that started 2017. There was a company called Novo in Canada. Because it was listed in Canada, the Australians seemed to miss the story. They had found some watermelon seed gold nuggets near Karratha. They had gone on a significant land grab in the Pilbara. The Pilbara was an area that most people said, oh, there's no gold in the Pilbara. We already had a very significant land holding, which you will see a bit later on. So Novo and their colleague Artemis, Novo went from $200 million market cap to $800 million in the space of about 6 months. They built this bonfire over in Canada that the Australians hadn't seen. And the way I always put it is that De Grey, late September, went into a trading halt, and we came up with a photograph in our ASX announcement that showed the same watermelon seed nuggets some 130, 140 kilometres from where Novo were. Our shares in trading halt had gone into trading halt at 5.5 cents. The following day when we came out, it was actually 3 days later, we came out at 15 cents with 100 million shares or so traded. We went back into trading halt that day because Kirkland Lake in Canada had said they'd like to put $5 million into us. Back into trading halt and came out the following day at 25 cents. So it was a pretty exciting time. Andy is road showing in Europe and North America at the moment, which is why he can't be here. And I can say that the reception from North America is far better than we ever seem to get when we talk to people in Australia. And I think that's perhaps an indictment in Australia in some respects. But what the presentation will show is we are so much more than the conglomerates. The conglomerates is certainly an X factor moving forward. There's still a lot of work to be done. As a company, we believe that these conglomerates are hosting gold. What we don't know yet is the grade. We've probably been it's a positive. The initial bulk samples from Nova that they reported came in at 69 grams per tonne, which is a big, big figure. So if they report 20 grams a tonne on another bulk sample, the market seems to get disappointed. From our perspective, if we get 5 grams a tonne, do you know what? It's a pretty damn good result in the areas that we've got, given that we also have significant resources in structural gold. So we'll get on with that. Okay, so which one do I press here?
Green one.
The green one at the top, okay.
One.
Not that one. There we go. Okay, the usual competent person statement. I understand we're going to have to start reading these out at some stage, but I've left it up there long enough for you to look at. So, De Grey, look, we're Australian ASX listed. We're a gold development company. We have some base metals and we have some lithium, but we are focused on the gold. We're up in the Pilbara as introduced. We're about 80 kilometres to the southeast of Port Hedland, so infrastructure-wise, we've got a couple of the main highways running through our tenement areas. Growing resources. When we started this gold story, we had 350,000 ounces. We're now at 1.2 million, just over 1.2 million ounces. I know we've got some ounces in the bank at the moment that will get released probably the next 4 or 5 months with the next round of drilling results coming through. Successful team, I think that's always important. I've already mentioned Andy Beckwith. He's a gold exploration geologist. He's worked with Anglo. He's been very successful with West Gold. He knows he's done a terrific job for us at De Grey. He's brought on a chap, Phil Tornatora. Phil's in our booth, so if you've got any technical questions, he's the man to talk to. He's also from Anglo Gold, Northern Star and Galaxy Lithium. So we've got a couple of very experienced geos, well supported by a few other geos on the team. We're targeting production. How soon do we get to production? There's this argument, do we drill out more resources? Do we accept what we've got and try and get into production early? That's a debate we're still having internally, so there'll be more on that in the next 6 months or so, I would think, once we get results from PFS. There's a few, I think I've sort of touched on most of that, a few motherhood type statements there, so we'll move on from there because I don't have a lot of time. So current, we've got a 1.2 million ounce resource. We've got a 25,000 metre drilling program underway. We've probably done about 10 to 12,000 metres of that at the moment. We've got over 200 kilometres of shear zones. An independent geologist said to me in the last month, he said, Simon, there would not be one company in the world that had that much shear zone in their own control. It's pretty well mineralised throughout, and we'll show you a map shortly. It's less than 10% of that has had any sort of drilling on it, and a lot of that drilling has had very enticing results that haven't had a lot of follow-up. So we think there's a lot of potential for increasing these resources. I'm going to say certainly towards 2 million ounces and above, and we'll probably be doing something in terms of looking at those exploration targets in the next few months. High-grade underground potential. Our two main pits are Withnell and Wingina. There's a series of excellent results. We've got some long sections further on that will show those. That we have a firm belief, Wingina in particular is over 1,000 ounces per vertical metre, above 100 metres. We expect that's going to continue to depth, and we're going to be drilling down to 500 metres in the next through the next 6 months to help our PFS, to help our resource ounces, and to try and improve the underground potential moving forward. I've talked about the X Factor conglomerate gold. Bulk sampling will be commencing. We've had some delays because it's been difficult getting the right heritage clearances underway. They have gone and cleared it now. We are awaiting final report. We expect to get those results out before the end of June. This conglomerate story has perhaps been delayed a little bit because I think some of the Novo results have probably been delayed longer than the market has wished, although it's interesting that Novo's share price has steadily been creeping up. Our view on it is that we're going to take a series of 250 kilogram samples around our main, well, it's not necessarily our main area, but the easier area to access, Loudon's Patch. We'll put them through some fairly simple gravity circuit system and hopefully come out with an announcement that shows that the 250 kilograms has maybe got, call it 10 nuggets if you like, and maybe those 10 nuggets weigh 10 grams between them. People can work it out from there, but we don't see the need to, whether the grade is 15.7 grams per tonne or 16 grams per tonne, I don't think we really need to get it that accurate in that first stage. So we should have results coming out before the end of June in terms of the conglomerate. Massive land holding, is massive the right word? I'm not sure, but we've got a very significant land holding in a significant area at the moment in the Pilbara for gold. Near-term production potential, we'll have more on that as we go through what the PFS is hoping to do. We expect to be announcing that completion by the end of the calendar year there. So this is our map. You can see there's basically 3 sections of shear zone. The top one's the Molina shear zone. The lower one coming from the northeast is the Tabba Tabba thrust, the Wingina shear zone as we also know it. And then we've got a series of farm-in joint ventures to the south here. That's the Fano shear zones there. There's some really interesting results there that haven't had a lot of drilling. This whole area really has been forgotten about since about 2008. Range River produced from a heap leach pad. You can see the facilities. So I don't even know where the light is, sorry. Oh, great. You can see the facilities up here. That's where Range River produced. They went into administration in 2011. De Grey has always owned this tenure up to the northeast. They stopped looking for gold in about 2004, 2005. So it's only in the last couple of years that we've put this package together. And fortunately, in the last chunk of that package that is to the south, we managed to get just before the Novo news hit and our watermelon seeds came out. What that map is not showing is that Novo have pegged ground pretty well all the way around us there. We've had lots of offers for more ground in that vicinity, but to date, we haven't seen anyone who's got better targets than we have anyway, and the prices went up fairly significantly as well. So we're pretty happy with our land package that we have. One of the important comments there, 40 large untested gold anomalies. The blue sections that you can see along the red shear zones, they're soil anomalies that really, some of them will have isolated drilling on them. Most of them haven't been tested. You can see the structure through the middle. There are rivers coming through the middle, so you're not going to get good soil anomalies around the river. A lot of the area is open plains, so it's windswept, so you're not getting good soil anomalies in the open plains. We're going to be doing an aeromagnetic survey, which is starting shortly or early June, that will hopefully highlight a lot of those anomalies along the structure that haven't yet been looked at. So historically, we describe it as a bit like the Loch Ness Monster. The structures come out of the ground and then disappear, and it winds its way through. Whenever it's popped out of the ground, they've drilled into it and pretty well found gold somewhere along the lines. When it's gone underground, they haven't had anything to identify it and haven't drilled along it. So we expect that there's a lot more drilling to be done, a lot more zones that will be identified. But at the moment, we've already got 41 clear anomalies. Some of them, some of the soil anomalies are 1.8 grams per tonne, for example. Down to the south, we've got rock chip samples at 30 grams per tonne or thereabouts as well. So there's a lot for us to target over and above our existing extensional and infill drilling that we're currently doing. So what we're doing at the moment, ramping up exploration, targeting increasing our gold resources. We're planning to move towards 2 million ounces. We firmly believe we can get towards 2 million ounces. We're extending existing resources. Mount Berghouse is one where we've just been doing some drilling, testing 40 gold anomalies. We're certainly looking at drilling deeper, higher grade underground resources at Withnell and Wingina. We've touched on that. Bulk sampling of the conglomerates coming up with potential for low cost, high grade ounces at the conglomerates if it comes through as I won't say expect, but perhaps as we hope. So PFS, so we're actually doing a fair bit of, so the economics are underway, the PFS work's underway. We're doing a fair bit of metallurgy. Most of the open pit stuff that we've got leaches very well. Wingina is our starting pit. That's oxide down to about 200 metres and is leaching at 95% very, very comfortably. Our other major pit, Wingina, is probably a little bit more complicated, but we're using 80% recoveries there, and we think we can get that improved. But we're just, that metallurgy is really just started. We did some diamond drilling late last year to get some core, and we're working through that fairly methodically. So, but most of the open pits are leaching very, very well. So the PFS is focused on an open pit development at the moment, but we're also looking at doing a scoping study, and this is some of the peculiarities of JORC codes and ASX rules. We're looking to do a scoping study to prove the underground mining aspects as well. So at the moment, at 1 million tonnes per annum with our ore feed, it was an average of 2.1 grams per tonne or thereabouts in the scoping study. That's producing 65,000 ounces per annum. It shows positive economics. What we are hopeful of being able to do is prove that we can go underground, and that at 6 or 7 grams per tonne from the underground, your 70,000 ounces per annum goes up very, very quickly above 100,000 ounces, and that's the target that we're trying to get to. 7-year mine life, we're comfortable that we've got that in the bank at the moment at 1 million tonnes per annum anyway. That's probably more of the same. I think I can flick through that. This is just a quick example. You can see some of the deposits there in red, but also some of the isolated drill holes outside of it. 17 metres at 2.7 or 2.707 near Camel, 38 metres at 1.09 to the south of Withnell. There's still just an enormous amount of work for our geologists to go through to work out some of those and that's probably only over a 10 kilometre zone, over 150 kilometres of tenement area that we have in length. This is a further example, Mount Berghouse, which is where we've been drilling. The areas circled by pink are our existing resource of 140,000 ounces in that deposit. There's been virtually no drill testing between the northeast and the southwest deposit, and yet there's been intersections there, as you can see, 2 metres at 24.6, 14 at 6.5, so we're pretty confident that should fill in, but we're just actually taking that. There's some extensional work done. We haven't done any work on that infill as yet. That's going to be in our next round of drilling. So really just trying to prove that we've got plenty of potential to increase our resources at the shallow open pit level. Whānau McMahon, same thing. South. That's the area to the southwest. Sorry. We've touched on it. This also shows some of the enticing drill holes. There's been a fair bit of drilling and it looks like it's quite close spaced, but there's a lot of room in between. They've really just done one round of drilling, got some really good results, and there hasn't been much follow-up. You can see those yourself. So that's, we're looking to do a fairly significant. We're doing aeromagnetics across it at the moment, or shortly. It hasn't been done before, but we'll go in there and do a fair bit of air core probably in the next 6 months as well. This is just showing, you can see the shear zones again and the anomalies. That's showing, you can see in the red drill holes that are greater than 100 metres, very few and far between, and the next slide goes to drill holes greater than 150 metres, even sparser. So really, relative to a Kalgoorlie, relative to a lot of other places, very little drilling on this mineralised shear zones. Is that the end, or was that 5 minutes? Or?
Yep, that's it. No, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, sorry. That's so the bulk. That's the conglomerate gold sector. You can talk to us. We're in booth 13. I've certainly touched on it on the way through. My apologies. I haven't quite got through it all. But please come and talk to Phil or I in booth 13. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.